Two acts have gone direct to final, two acts are going to Andrew Chanson, and three acts are going home. The third week of Melodifestivalen has had more excitement. Shall we talk about it?
Let's do this.
Okay, so I'm joined this week by Jonathan, and we're going to be talking about Melodifestivalen week 3. So first of all, let's look at the two acts who went direct to the finale, who'll be competing at the grand final in a few weeks' time. So it was Charlotte Perrelli with Still Young. So, Jonathan, what did you think of her performance?
I think this was a real return to the Schlager diva that we all know and love. The last two times that Charlotte has been in the contest, she's failed to qualify through to the final. So it's nice to see her sort of back on top again and going direct till finale. I think overall this was definitely one of the standouts of the semi-final. It was full of energy. The staging really worked for the dancers and the lighting and everything. And I think overall it was a really nice package. I think for me personally, it's not her greatest Melfest song ever. For me, like The Girl, which actually was the one she failed to qualify with, that is still my favorite Charlotte Perrelli Melfest song. But yeah, I think overall it was good to see her sort of back in her element and doing well and sort of thriving once again.
Yeah, my impression of the song is like in the past she's had her big sort of Schlager bangers, and then the last time she had Meat Leave, which was it's sort of a subdued countryish ballad. Still Young felt like kind of a mix of the two, and a good mix. Like it was a bit folky, but still really upbeat and fun. And she served it really well. She showed that she is a really like an absolutely legendary performer. I like the theme of the lyrics, she's still got it, and it was a really good, upbeat, energetic performance. I kind of think like maybe if she'd been performing in the first semi-final, she wouldn't quite be like a guaranteed direct till finale, but she did a really good job this week, and it was a very a not a surprising qualifier. Okay, so the other qualifier was direct qualifier was Tusse with Voices. So Jonathan, what did you think about him? People have been saying it like a potentially Eurovision winner, even.
Um, I'm not sure I quite agree with that level of statement. I thought it was good for this batch of songs. It was, I guess, a standout, and he delivered some great vocals. Um, I think a bit for me, it just feels a bit of a generic winners sort of song contest single. There's nothing especially outstanding for me personally. I do quite like um the beat in the verses, and in a way I think I quite like the verses more than the chorus. When you hit the chorus, it just sort of turns into just a bit more generic, a million voices, everyone, love, love, peace, peace, and all of that sort of jam. Um, I think Tusse is, a great performer. He obviously, won Swedish Idol for a reason. I think that he maybe needs to have a bit more time to work out his personal style rather than just going with a sort of more generic ballad type thing. But yeah, I think in the final, the juries could respect this a fair amount, with his vocals and everything. So I don't know whether the public gets behind it to the same extent. I'm not sure, but if it did go to Eurovision, you can't see it being, you know, a definite yes, Sweden is onto their next win. I feel like if the UK was to send something similar, you know, we would badly stage it and then it would end up left, the right hand side of the scoreboard, dwindling a bit. So Sweden, you know, they have a bit more oomph to it, but yeah, it's not a personal favorite, shall we say.
Yeah, I think I had similar feelings. It was a good song, a well-written song. It sort of hit lots of emotional cues. It took the listener on a journey. But at the same time, it did feel a bit calculated, a bit like a Eurovision song. But yeah, it's a really good, strong debut for him. And yeah, I would like to see him come back in the future. The weird thing for me about the song is the lyrics talk about a million voices, and it's really hard to hear that and not think of Paulina Gagarina in 2015. But that's that's a Eurovision thing. It's not a Melfest thing. But yeah, definitely one of the better performances of the night, and not a surprising qualifier. Okay, so let's have a look now at the two acts who are going to be getting a second chance in the Andra Chancing round in 2 weeks. First was Klara Hammarström with A Beat of Broken Hearts. So what did you think about that, Jonathan?
I think it was nice to see her come back with something a bit different to the sort of the pop banger that she brought last year. And I think the ballad was strong. I think I enjoyed it, and I've been running the sort of weekly polls on the website, getting fan reaction, and there was definitely like a strong top three, like Charlotte, Tusse, and Klara were the obvious top three, with, you know, Klara just edging out of the top two spots. So I think this was a solid Andrew Shansen sort of spot going in. And yeah, I think she delivered it confidently. She hit all the camera cues really well and everything. I do think that she was on this sort of podium for a lot of it, and it sort of got a bit samey towards the end, in terms of what she was doing, and just the general tapering out of like, okay, we're getting towards the end now. Maybe there could have been like something else going on, rather than sort of the stage didn't swallow her up, but it was just sort of there, sort of a mass with her in the center. But yeah, I think this is a solid Andrew Shansen. I think out of the ones that have gone so far, I think there's potential for her to get through to the final. I wouldn't be mad if it did. I'm quite, you know, happy for her after she failed to qualify last year. But yeah, overall, I would say solid is my word of choice.
Yeah, weirdly enough, it was one of my favorite songs from the semi, but I wasn't expecting her to. I was sort of thinking she'd be eliminated. I'm not sure why. It wasn't a bad performance. It's a good song. Yeah, I would say it's definitely the poppiest song of the semi-final, and I think that just sort of brought a nice feeling of just well executed pop with kind of like a nice uplifting message. Yeah, so I'm glad to see her getting another chance with a song. Like you said, she has a good chance of getting through to the final. I guess it depends on who she's going to be up against in the duels and Andrew Chansen. So we'll see how that goes. The other person who'll be getting a second chance is Alvaro Estrella with his song Baila, Baila. Jonathan, what did you think? Did this take you away on a sunny holiday?
Um, Partly, I think I would say. I was a big fan of Vamos Amigos that he did with Mendez, and that was one that I had on repeat. With this one, I don't know. I haven't quite grasped it as much as the previous one. I think it seems a bit more generic Swedish take on Latin pop. Like you can sort of tell that it was mainly written by Swedes rather than people from South America and stuff. So it was fun. It was nice to have in the contest, and the colors on stage and the whole performance was, enjoyable. Whether it is my, going to be putting it on repeat, I'm not quite sure yet. It's definitely, I think it's the sort of song that if it came on, I would happily listen to, but might not click play myself, sort of thing. Yeah, I think that's where I'm standing on it at the moment.
Yeah, the first time I heard it, I wasn't super impressed. It was just seemed a bit basic, but I think he actually brought a lot to it with the live performance. Like that really added a bit more life and energy, and it was a good place in the running order. So I also think this year people aren't necessarily wanting an emotional ballad. They are wanting something that's a bit fun, that's going to be a bit of a distraction. It's going to remind them of the days when you could go away to a tropical, sunny, the south of Spain or wherever and have a nice holiday in the sun. So yeah, it's sort of just that little moment, like 3 minutes of a little fantasy for people to enjoy. So yeah, it was well done. Like he's such a good singer and performer, and it was nice to have him, for him to have a shot as a solo performer this year. Okay, so with those four going through, that means that three acts missed out. We'll just take a quick look at those. In fifth place was Emil Assergård with allting, skiter, which is rude slightly. He, I don't know. I'll just quickly add. I think it was a good song, a nice, like Swedish language song. I was actually thinking this might stand a chance of getting through to maybe Andra Chansen, but it didn't. And then the two bottom acts were Mustasch with Contagious and Elisa with Den du är. Mustasch, a bit of controversy surrounding him with the lead singer had a assault issue, which that sort of news it's a dark shadow, which is not going to do them any favors. Like apart from that, it was a good rock song, but there are better rock songs in the contest this year. And Lisa with Den du är, I thought she might actually get through, but it was a pleasant ballad, but perhaps a bit conservative maybe. So Jonathan, what were your thoughts on those three?
I think when we were doing the poll on the snippets, there was a very clear bottom three of who were the ones that sort of fans were not expecting to go through, and it was these three that ultimately did not go through. I think with Emil, I was pleasantly surprised, actually. I was a bit meh at the snippets. It was a bit lackluster, but then once this got going on stage, I was actually really enjoying it, and I would have quite liked to have seen it gone through to Andra Chansen. I think there's always sort of one more Swedishy, folky, country pop type song, and I think this hit, was definitely okay. We've got to have this in. This is it. But I think it was quite nice to have that in the running order and in the mix with everything, and I did quite enjoy that. In terms of Mustasch, I will admit I am not a rock connoisseur, so for me it was okay. It was, compared to some of the other rock songs that are, even competing tonight in, say, UMK and stuff, this wasn't necessarily a standout, but it was okay, and I didn't necessarily mind it, but that's not really enough to sort of go through. And then Elisa, I was again pleasantly surprised by this compared to what I heard in the snippets, and I think once the ballad got going, it was actually quite nice, and I did enjoy the graphics and the lights and the background behind her, but I do think it probably got lost a bit in terms of everything else that was going on. So I never really, while I might have thought that it could get into 5th place, I was never massively expecting it to go through to Andrew Hansen or anything.
Okay, so that was this week's 3rd week of Melodifestivalen 2021, and that's what we think about those 4 acts. But what do you think? Tell us in the comments section below, and while you're at it, give us a thumbs up.
And make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when all our new videos are coming out. Follow us on social media and all of that jazz. And yeah.
Great. So see you next time. Bye.
Bye.